Fresh out of the box, the WBP Fox on today's field review.
So one of the things with import AKs that we love is magazine availability. Another issue with them though is they're often made for single stack mags. In fact, the paperwork that came with the WBP Fox mentioned 5 or 10 round capacity. Obviously it's cut for a double stack proper mag. So how well was that cut done? And how does it work with the mags out there? In a variation of what's for dinner, we've got 12 different types of AK mags here that we're going to run 3 rounds through each just to see how they cycle. Obviously magazines are a sample size of 1 and these all have various states of use and wear in their life, but what I'm hoping to do is help you decide that if you are to pick up a WBP Fox, which mags are going to fit and run better in your gun. The mag you saw in the intro was one of these clear US Palms. It obviously runs fine, but what about these other 12? Starting off with the US Palm Improved. This is the one with the metal reinforced tang. Solid lockup. I hope the mic's getting that well. We have a little bit of side to side, not much front to rear at all. No issues cycling. Comes out nicely. Rolls out with good solid feel. Now, the older US Palm, this is the plastic only. These are fine for range use. You just got to watch anything with plastic tabs as it's interfacing with metal on the gun. It might wear. Also, nice solid lockup. Front to rear is very good. A little bit of side to side as one would expect. No cycling issues and rolls out nicely as well. Not as well as the metal tabbed. Serbian steel mag. How do I know it's Serbian? Well, because it rusts. All steel rusts, of course, but these Serbian mags tend to rust really sharply. Got some front to rear and some side to side. This is very loose fitting. Bolt held open, that's one of the features of the Serb mags. And it comes out nice. WBP's own, this is a polymer mag, no steel reinforcement. Has some front to rear, has some side to side. No cycling issues, comes out easily. Tap Go, remember these guys? They used to be so cheap. Very tight fit front to rear, still has some side to side. Not so easy coming out. That probably has something to do with the angle on the rear tab here. That could be wear or it could be my particular magazine. AC Unity, these are coming out of Bosnia. They have steel reinforcement front and rear. Didn't give me a really positive lockup. I mean, it's there, but you didn't get that click. And mag release, not happy. Front to rear is tight. Side to side is tightest of the mags tested so far. Last round bolt hold open. Does not want to come out. There we go. Whew, that's a tight one. Maybe not the best for the Fox. One of the US Palm copies, the X-Tech mags. This one has steel reinforcement front and rear. Good lock up there. Very tight fit, a little bit of side to side. Does not want to come out easily. That's another avoid. One of the lightweight Bulgarian waffle pattern mags. These are cool because they have witness windows in the back marking 10, 20, and 30, which very few AK mags have. No steel reinforcement. Very loose fit. Doesn't click in tightly. Comes out nicely though. Master Molder. These are the absolute budget mags. They are still around. You notice there's quite a bit of wear maybe on the front end here. That happens because they don't always fit too well. This one fit in rather softly. Minimal side to side and minimal front to rear. Runs and rolls out mediocrely. Pro Mag, this is part of their rebirth. It got texturing, great textures on the side and back, metal reinforcement front and rear. Almost didn't, was that me or the mag? That was me the first time. It is a little snug inside the well. Got a little front to rear, little side to side. No suckling issues. Also didn't really drop out nicely. KCI, these are coming out of Korea. Aluminum, I believe. Am I slipping? I was slipping. No, these are a little slippery inside. Not the best fit there. Got some front to rear and some side to side. Definitely drops out easily though. I think maybe the leading edge hook is a little short. The P-Mags, everyone's favorite disposables. Good tight fit. A little bit of friction going into the well. The body's maybe a little wide. Came out nicely.
So tell me, what is the importance of the left to right and front to back? Because for some reason I think there might be benefits to having one that moves a little from side to side.
There could be, as far as having room and tolerances, and we all know that tolerances are what make the AK so damn reliable. It can tolerate a lot of stuff and still run. The front to rear alignment of your magazine in the gun is very important, as that determines feed angle. And if you ever looked inside an AK, there's not a whole lot of guidance for the bullet in there. There is a bullet guide, a sheet of metal riveted in, but generally it's dependent on the shape of the bullet to help it guide up into the chamber. So although it's pretty darn good with the tapered cartridge like 7.6239, having the magazine seated properly helps a lot. So that's why we test front to rear. Side to side, is the angle of the bullets in there a little bit going this way? Not a huge not really a big deal on such a fat cartridge with such a tapered body. So this is why generally most AK mags work in most guns. The only time when you really have an issue is depending on how that is cut and how fat your mag is, especially with polymer mags being more and more popular because they're cheap and they're easy to make and they're high margins for the companies that make them. The challenge comes in how thick that polymer is, because then it can be too broad either to fit in here or too broad to fit nicely, which is why we try to show you, the audience, what that fit feels like for each of these brands for this particular gun. We just showed you this thing running with all these different mags. How does it actually feel as a shooter? Next up, T and I will do some ready ups at a target and give you our feel just in handling the gun. If you're wondering what gives us any real credentials to say this, well, we're enthusiasts. We've both been through Center T's AK course, and we've got a dozen or so AK variants in-house, along with all those that we've reviewed over the years. So we've kind of come to take a feel for what makes one AK a little different from another. After that, we're going to try some Field Expedient semi-supported shooting and see what accuracy looks like, and then give you our feel for this out-of-the-box gun. Now, as you know, when we review things, we don't modify them. This was a purchase, not necessarily for review. I did swap one part, the safety lever. I went from the lever that came onto it to another WBP part, simply because we had it on our WBP pistols and we liked it. And that is the safety with a shelf. Some professionals will tell you these are bad because they can catch on things. That is true. Others will say that having these shelves makes it a whole lot easier for Americans who aren't used to doing the finger sweep whole hand thing. Or in our case, when you've got my banana hands and Tia's small hands, it makes it a lot easier for both of us to shoot the gun.
So while I've put a couple rounds through this already, those were fresh rounds. And I'm a little more warmed up now, so I'm going to, each of us will shoot 10 rounds, a reduced size torso. It's about, I think he measured 54 yards down there. It's quite a ways, but just to get a feel for the gun, how I react to it, how nicely it shoots, and how accurate it is at that distance. Missed. It's been a while since we've shot, and it shows. 2 left. Shooting faster did not help my cause. Oh, I was right. Still very pleasant to shoot. Wish we could afford in ammo the opportunity to shoot more, because I feel really out of practice.
All right, and my turn. Throw 10 at some steel. It has been a while for sure. Miss. By the way, these sights are out of the box. We didn't do any adjustments to them, so it's also kind of showing us how well this gun is built. Yep, just like with Tia, when I threw 2, it's 1 for the bad guy and 1 to scare anyone near him. There we go. Ooh, that made it rock. Oh, oh, flinch. Happens to the best of us. So, in an effort to make our field expedient accuracy test a little more realistic, I don't know, is that even a thing? We've got 5 shots. We're using some Red Army Standard, and our Titan Great Outdoors 6-inch spinner at 48 yards. Now, to make this a little more fair on the rifle, we are using a tripod rest here. Not one that we have a lot of experience with, but so far has been kind of fun. So we each have 5 shots. Just trying to hit the damn thing. If we make it spin, that would be a bonus. But let's see at practical distances on an overly small target how the Fox does. The 6-inch target at 48 yards is about the same size as the front sight post, in case you're wondering.
Nice.
So I had to find my mark there, but by holding just underneath, seemed to hit, well, rather holding the top edge of the front sight post at the bottom of the target, it seemed to land some pretty solid hits. And keep in mind, once again, we have not adjusted these sights at all. This is how it came out of the box, which to me is more props to WBP for building a nice rifle. Now it's Tia's turn.
We all know how I love a challenge. This should be pretty fun. And I always am excited to see and be validated in my shooting. So here goes nothing. Now that I realize that this tripod is adjustable, I kind of like it.
Okay, maybe hitting a little high.
One thing is for certain, this is a really nice trigger. Well, it's not going to happen today, folks. Ugh.
5 already.
I feel like I might have been shorted one.
It was a fun challenge.
This is awesome. So, as I've mentioned many times before, I love an AK. The ease of operation, it's just fun, and the fact that they can be as accurate as they are is amazing. The trigger on this thing is very curved, but I really enjoyed it. It had a very sharp reset, and it was right there ready to go again with no surprises, no lags. The action on it is really smooth. I appreciate that Graham put this paddle safety on it for me. I have ran an AK without it, and it is doable, but this just makes it so much nicer. And as far as it getting caught on anything for me, I mean, if I've got it in a stowed position, it's not going to get caught on anything. And of course, you're going to have your hand there, always checking, because that's what you do. But I couldn't be more impressed with WBP and the quality of AKs that they put out.
So I picked this up. One more thing. As far as the accuracy, if you want to see actual like classic accuracy test, it does have a scope rail, and we've got a mount in from Optics Planet. We plan on getting this to the range with some nicer ammo and seeing what we can do for accuracy. The old 3 to 5 MOA AK standard doesn't always apply these days with modern ammunition, and especially with non-state run manufacturing like WBP tends to be a little better. So we will get to that. As far as just running this gun as it was today, it shoots as beautiful as it looks. It's really everything I was hoping for when I bought it. We were really impressed with the WBP. We saw someone running at the Center T course. We picked up 2 of their pistols, loved them. All the rifles were gone. I waited, it's been about a year. This came in stock. I made the order. They were out of stock a few hours later. Glad I got my hands on one. The fit and finish matches the perform and function. They aren't the cheapest thing out there for sure, but if you're gonna get one, it's hard to say no to something that looks this good and shoots this well, unless you want a beater AK. But really, with today's prices, beater AKs are costing you almost as much as a nice one anyways. So initial impressions, I'd say the only downfall I've found to this thing is because it's so beautiful in this classic configuration, I don't want to mod it too much. I mean, it's, as I said in the tabletop, it kind of feels more like a museum piece of work, of beauty. So I don't want to go slapping a bunch of different muzzle brakes and changing the springs up and all that kind of stuff. Even though that was kind of my original intent, this thing is just too beautiful as is. Hope you guys enjoyed this presentation on the WBP Fox. We will get it to a range eventually for some accuracy testing with nicer ammo, so look for that in the future. I'd like to hear your thoughts on the WBP and other European civilian or commercial AKs if you have any experience with them. So far, nothing negative to say about these guys whatsoever.